Hi, I'm Dana Whittles, and I'm going to be talking about the Pollera and the importance of indigenous fashion in Latin America. So to start off, my thesis is Latin American indigenous fashion is a crucial means of healing following an era of pain caused by Western colonization in attempts to civilize indigenous peoples. The Pollera and its trend to reclaim the Western styles forced upon indigenous groups is a powerful movement vital to the reparations these groups deserve. To start off, let's talk about the Pollera, which is a skirt, and it's traditionally worn by Latin American indigenous groups, and many groups wore this kind of skirt, mostly around the Andes Mountains. Um, And so right here I have a quote from one of the articles I read that just describes how intricate and time-consuming these skirts are to make, and also how important the craft of making them is. So this quote says, "The Pollera is a skirt that is assembled after an arduous craftsmanship work in each one of its parts. Everything is sewn by hand, and according to the technique and applied effort, prices can range from 5,000 to 8,000. But these prices can be considered low against intermediaries who can sell the skirt up to $12,000. So, most commonly, a Pollera is a work of art, and it's actually meant to be tailored to each individual. So, one of the most important parts of the Pollera is obviously making it, as it is such an art form, and it is so unique. So, this film that I watched that you are seeing some clips of right now is a film talking about the Zaptic way, which is a way of dyeing and weaving, and the Zaptic is they're an indigenous peoples, and so this is the way that these materials for the skirt would be made and woven. And not only the skirt, but the shawls and the petticoats, because the shawl is most commonly made of wool, which you're seeing right now. They're turning it from just fresh off the sheep into yarn and then weaving it. And these are the traditions and techniques that have been preserved to make these poleras so authentic and all the pieces so authentic, because the shawls are very important, as a lot of them are so intricately designed.
Durante esa época el pueblo sufrió mucho, ¿no? No dejaban, les han impuesto algunas vestimentas, pero ellos han hecho que esas vestimentas se adapten también a lo que éramos como pueblo. Y ahora nosotros estamos tratando de hacer ver esto al mundo.
During the 16th and 17th centuries, Latin America was being colonized by Spain. These indigenous groups were often forced to wear Western styles of dress. And this was done in hopes to civilize them. And so now we have this intermix of traditional fashion and Western fashion, due to the fact that that culture was forced upon these people. So out of that, we got this subculture of fashion called Cholita fashion, which comes from a word that used to have a derogatory meaning, but the community has taken it back to themselves. And now this word Cholita is used by women as a positive sort of identity, showing that they come from indigenous backgrounds. So cholo or chola meaning mixed, or more derogatorily meaning like an Indian or half breed or halfling. And then ita means small, so those two words kind of got slung together at some point, and formed this little subculture of fashion that came about because of this horrible tragedy of the colonization of these indigenous tribes. So it's almost a movement in itself for these women and these indigenous peoples to take back what was stolen from them and also claim what they were forced to wear as their own. So we see this through, the bowler hats that they wear. And actually, I found this very interesting history that was talked about in both the film that you're seeing clips of, which is a Viceland little episode about Cholita fashion in Bolivia. But I found this article that's also on it, basically explaining that this fashion of wearing the hat didn't come about till after colonization and after these events had happened because they had been sent this large shipments of hats from Europe. And they were supposed to be for men working in the coal mines, I believe, but they were too small, so they were given to local women who now it's become an iconic symbol of Cholita fashion. Those are the standard pieces. It's the Pollera skirt and the hat and the shawl worn over it. So it's become this iconic statement of fashion, which I think says a lot about the culture, that they took something that basically they didn't ask for and was kind of just thrown at them, and not even meant for them, and then made it their own and made it part of their own history and part of their own culture. I think that really speaks a lot about what this style of dress and what this movement of dress means to this group of people and means to Latin American indigenous peoples as a whole, even if they don't wear Cholita fashion or even if they aren't from groups that wore poleras. It still speaks volumes about what they've been through and what they continue to do. And continuing on that trend of these women taking these situations and making them their own, there's this very, very interesting and amazing subculture of Cholita that is actually a wrestling culture. So these women who dress in Cholita are wrestlers, and it's very, very powerful to see, especially in a climate where there is so much abuse and women are so taken advantage of, especially in household settings. So in this clip, you'll see one of the most famous Cholita wrestlers talking about how this is really important to her and what she believes the impact is.
Sí, podíamos entrenar las mujeres, me animé a entrenar, yo estoy haciendo desde el 2001.
That was a long time. What's your best move? Mine is grab, twist, pull.
A ver qué, escrito así de entradita, por ejemplo. Me agarras.
Oh my god.
Así.
Oh my god. Ow.
Solita. Y esas fuertes así. O le puedes agarrar aquí.
Oh my god.
Lo puedes botar ahí, pero...
And then you flip me over onto the concrete and my head cracks open.
Sí.
I was surprised how young the crowd is here. Do you think it's bad for them to see this kind of violence at such a young age?
No, creo que no. Más bien es una demostración que las mujeres, siempre los hombres están pegando a las mujeres y queremos ser un ejemplo para que no se dejen pegar. Hay mucho feminicidio en estos últimos años, entonces eso está mal. Maltrato de parte de los varones. Entonces deben decir ellos, dentro de ellos, yo quisiera que mi mamá sepa así luchar para que cuando mi papá le esté pegando se defienda.
So after hearing about the process of making the Polleras and the history behind it and this culture that has blossomed and is now thriving, I hope you also understand why I see this as such an important movement, because it truly is a movement. I mean, not only has it created a lot of jobs, as in modeling and designing and making the wool and the intricate designs, and the skirts are handcrafted, and all these little steps that just make a lot of jobs for people, and also create an economy in specifically Bolivia, which is one of the poorest regions in Latin America. And so not only has this fashion and this preservation of tradition created jobs and economies, but it's also a very, very important expression and a very important community, because it really is taking back what's theirs, as well as taking a little more. I mean, this is a form of healing. It's a form of showing the past, and using the tragedies in their histories to create something beautiful and something that displays their culture and their heritage. So thank you so much for watching my presentation, and I hope that I've been able to spread a little insight on this little movement and community in Latin America. And have a great summer.